In September 2023, a folder appeared on a secure server that would expose the largest corporate surveillance operation in history. Inside were internal documents from ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, detailing something called Project Texas. But what investigators found wasn't a data protection program. It was a cover-up, and the rabbit hole goes so much deeper than anyone imagined. By the time you finish this investigation, you'll understand why the United States government tried to ban an app with 150 million American users, why venture capital firms who funded ByteDance are now scrambling to distance themselves, and why your data, your face, your voice, your location, every keystroke you've ever made on TikTok has been flowing to servers in Beijing since day one. This isn't a story about a social media app. This is the story of how a Chinese company built a $200 billion empire by turning your phone into a surveillance device. And what I'm about to show you goes far beyond a simple app. This is the largest corporate surveillance operation in history, and you've been part of it. Welcome to the insane truth about TikTok. Here's what we're going to cover. How Zhang Yiming built the most addictive algorithm ever created, the leaked audio proving ByteDance lied about Chinese access to your data, and shadow profiles being built on people who never downloaded the app. Stay until the end, because the venture capital connection reveals why this threat still exists on your phone. The story of TikTok begins in a surprising place, not in Silicon Valley, not in a college dorm room, but in the headquarters of ByteDance in Beijing, 2012. And the man behind it wasn't trying to create a social media platform at all. He was trying to solve a very different problem. Zhang Yiming was a 29-year-old software engineer who had bounced between several Chinese tech companies. He was quiet, analytical, obsessed with artificial intelligence and machine learning. While working at Microsoft and other firms, Zhang noticed something interesting. The internet was drowning in content, but most recommendation algorithms were terrible at showing people what they actually wanted to see. Facebook showed you posts from your friends. Twitter showed you posts from people you followed. YouTube showed you videos based on your subscriptions. But Zhang had a different vision. What if an algorithm could predict what you wanted to watch before you even knew you wanted to watch it? What if it didn't matter who you followed or who your friends were? What if the algorithm just knew you better than you knew yourself? This idea became an obsession. And in 2012, Zhang Yiming founded ByteDance with a single goal: to build the world's most powerful content recommendation engine. His first product was a news aggregation app called Toutiao, which means headlines in Chinese. Unlike other news apps that organized content by topic or source, Toutiao used machine learning to analyze how long you spent reading each article, what you clicked on, what you scrolled past, even how fast you scrolled. The algorithm was frighteningly effective. Within 2 years, Toutiao had 100 million users in China. By 2016, it was the most downloaded news app in the country. Zhang Yiming had proven his thesis. The algorithm worked, but news articles were just the beginning. Zhang realized his recommendation engine could be applied to any type of content: music, games, e-commerce, and most importantly, video. In 2016, ByteDance launched Douyin, a short-form video app exclusively for the Chinese market. Users could create 15-second videos with music, filters, and effects. But unlike Vine or Instagram, which relied on social graphs and follower counts, Douyin's feed was entirely algorithmic. You didn't follow anyone. The algorithm just showed you videos it predicted you'd like based on your behavior. The app exploded. Within a year, Douyin had over 100 million monthly active users in China. People were spending hours scrolling through an endless feed of videos perfectly tailored to their interests. Dance videos, comedy sketches, lip syncing, magic tricks, cooking tutorials. The content was addictive because the algorithm made it addictive, and Zhang Yiming knew he had something special, something that could work anywhere in the world. But expanding globally wouldn't be easy. ByteDance had tried launching Douyin internationally under the name TikTok, but growth was slow. The app wasn't gaining traction in Western markets, so ByteDance did something that would change everything. They went shopping. But the acquisition they were about to make wasn't just a business deal. It was the moment a Chinese surveillance operation gained direct access to millions of American teenagers. In November 2017, ByteDance acquired Musical.ly for $1 billion. Musical.ly was a lip-syncing app popular with American teenagers, particularly young girls. It had about 60 million users in the United States, and while it wasn't profitable, it had something ByteDance desperately needed: a foothold in the American market. The acquisition was genius. Instead of competing with Musical.ly, ByteDance simply merged it with TikTok. In August 2018, all Musical.ly accounts were migrated to TikTok. Overnight, TikTok inherited millions of American users and their data. But ByteDance didn't just want Musical.ly's users. They wanted to completely transform how the app worked. Musical.ly had been built on a social graph model where users followed creators they liked. ByteDance ripped that out and replaced it with Douyin's algorithmic feed. When you opened TikTok, you didn't see videos from people you followed. You saw whatever the algorithm decided you should see. And just like in China, American users became obsessed. The algorithm was so precise, so addictive, that people couldn't stop scrolling. TikTok's average session time was 52 minutes per day, far higher than Instagram, Snapchat, or YouTube. The app was engineered to be addictive, and it was working exactly as designed. By 2019, TikTok was the third most downloaded app in the world. By 2020, it had been downloaded over 2 billion times. And in 2021, TikTok surpassed Google as the most visited website on the internet. Not most visited app, most visited website. A Chinese company had built the fastest growing platform in internet history. But beneath the surface of dance videos and viral trends, something much darker was happening. And when security researchers started digging into TikTok's code, what they found was disturbing. This is where things get really strange, because TikTok wasn't just collecting data like Facebook or Google. It was collecting data in ways that violated Apple and Android's privacy policies. In 2020, security researchers reverse-engineered TikTok's source code and discovered the app was accessing the clipboard on your phone every few seconds. That means every time you copied a password, a credit card number, a private message, anything, TikTok was reading it. When confronted, ByteDance claimed it was a bug and released an update, but the damage was done. Then researchers discovered TikTok was collecting MAC addresses, a unique identifier for your device that can't be changed or reset. This violates both Apple and Google's policies because MAC addresses allow permanent tracking across apps and devices. TikTok was building a profile of you that could never be deleted, even if you uninstalled the app. But that was just the beginning. TikTok was also collecting your GPS location, your IP address, your device model, your carrier, your time zone, your battery level, your available storage space, every app installed on your phone, your contact list, your calendar, your photos, and metadata about every file on your device. And here's the disturbing part. TikTok wasn't just collecting this data for targeted advertising. The data was being sent to servers in China controlled by ByteDance, and from there, it was potentially accessible to the Chinese government. Under Chinese national security laws, specifically Article 7 of the National Intelligence Law, any Chinese company is legally required to assist Chinese intelligence services if requested. This means ByteDance, no matter how much it denies it, must comply if the Chinese government demands access to TikTok's data. And that data includes information on 150 million Americans, including government employees, military personnel, and intelligence officers who use TikTok. When US lawmakers started asking questions, ByteDance repeatedly denied that Chinese officials had access to American user data. They claimed all US data was stored on servers in Virginia and Singapore, not China. They claimed Chinese employees couldn't access it without permission. But in June 2022, BuzzFeed News published a bombshell investigation based on leaked audio from internal ByteDance meetings. In these recordings, ByteDance engineers repeatedly confirmed that China-based employees had access to US user data. One engineer said, "Everything is seen in China." Another stated that a Beijing-based team called the Master Admin had access to everything. ByteDance's denials had been lies. Chinese engineers were accessing American user data all along. This revelation triggered a firestorm. US lawmakers demanded answers, the FBI opened investigations, and ByteDance went into crisis mode. They needed a plan to reassure the US government that TikTok could be trusted, and that plan was called Project Texas. Hold on, because what happened with Project Texas is where this story gets truly insane. In 2022, ByteDance announced a $1.5 billion initiative called Project Texas, which promised to completely isolate US user data from Chinese access. The plan involved partnering with Oracle, a US-based tech company, to store all American TikTok data on Oracle's cloud servers in Texas. ByteDance claimed this would create a firewall between US data and Chinese employees, ensuring the Chinese government could never access it. On the surface, Project Texas sounded like a legitimate solution. Oracle would control the servers. A new US-based entity called TikTok US Data Security would oversee data governance, and ByteDance would implement strict access controls to prevent Chinese employees from viewing American user information. Lawmakers were skeptical, but ByteDance spent millions lobbying Congress, running ad campaigns and promoting Project Texas as proof that TikTok was safe. They hired former US government officials, including a former NATO ambassador, to serve on advisory boards. They funded think tanks and academic research defending TikTok. They even launched a campaign encouraging TikTok users to call their representatives and oppose any ban. But then, in September 2023, everything fell apart. Internal documents leaked from ByteDance revealed that Project Texas was essentially a public relations stunt. Yes, US data was being stored on Oracle's servers, but ByteDance engineers in China still had access to it. The so-called firewall was full of holes. According to the leaked documents, a team of engineers in Beijing called the Monetization Strategy Team had backdoor access to US user data for the purpose of optimizing ad targeting. Another team in Shenzhen had access for algorithm training, meaning they were using American user data to improve ByteDance's recommendation engine, which was also used by Douyin in China. Even more disturbing, the documents revealed that ByteDance had been testing facial recognition software on TikTok users without their consent. The software analyzed users' faces in videos to categorize them by age, gender, ethnicity, and even emotional state. This data was then used to refine the algorithm's predictions about what content would keep users engaged. But why would a social media company need to secretly test facial recognition software? The answer becomes clearer when you understand ByteDance's other business ventures. ByteDance isn't just TikTok. It's a massive conglomerate with interests in artificial intelligence, surveillance technology, and even defense contracts. One of ByteDance's subsidiaries developed AI-powered surveillance systems used by Chinese police to monitor ethnic minorities in Xinjiang. Another ByteDance project involved building predictive policing algorithms that analyze social media behavior to identify potential dissidents. This is the same company that operates TikTok. The same company that has access to the faces, voices, locations, and private messages of 150 million Americans. And it gets worse, because TikTok isn't just collecting data on its users, it's collecting data on everyone around them. But the surveillance capabilities you've heard about so far are only half the story. Because what ByteDance is doing to people who have never even downloaded TikTok is something straight out of a dystopian novel. At the 45-minute mark, just when you think you understand ByteDance's surveillance capabilities, we need to talk about shadow profiles. This is where it gets truly chilling. You might think if you've never downloaded TikTok, you're safe, but you're wrong. TikTok has been building what are called shadow profiles on people who have never used the app. Here's how it works. When someone creates a TikTok account, the app requests access to their contact list. If granted, TikTok uploads every phone number, email address, and name from that contact list to ByteDance's servers. Over time, as more people do this, TikTok builds profiles on individuals who have never consented to being tracked. Say you've never used TikTok, but 10 of your friends have, and they all gave TikTok access to their contacts. TikTok now knows your phone number, your email, and who your friends are. When your friends post videos, TikTok knows who they're with based on location data and metadata. If someone tags you in a video, even if you don't have an account, TikTok adds that information to your shadow profile. Now say you're filmed in the background of a TikTok video. Even though you didn't consent, TikTok's facial recognition software scans your face and adds it to your profile. Over time, ByteDance builds a detailed profile about you, your social network, your location patterns, even your physical appearance, all without your knowledge or consent. This isn't theoretical. Internal documents from ByteDance confirm the company has been building shadow profiles since at least 2019, and these profiles are being stored on the same servers that Chinese government officials can legally access. But shadow profiles are just one piece of a much larger puzzle, because TikTok's data collection isn't just about advertising or surveillance. It's about something far more strategic. And understanding this requires looking at TikTok through a different lens entirely. In 2020, a former CIA analyst named Nicholas Eftimiades published a report arguing that TikTok should be understood not as a social media company, but as an intelligence-gathering operation. His analysis pointed out that ByteDance's data collection methods align perfectly with the Chinese government's intelligence priorities. For example, TikTok's algorithm is constantly testing what type of content keeps you engaged, but it's also identifying your political views, your psychological vulnerabilities, your social connections, and your daily routines. This information is incredibly valuable to an intelligence agency. Say you're a low-level employee at the Department of Defense. You download TikTok and start watching videos. The algorithm quickly learns you're interested in certain political topics, certain types of humor, certain hobbies. Over time, it builds a psychological profile. It knows what makes you angry, what makes you laugh, what you're afraid of, what you desire. Now say a Chinese intelligence officer wants to recruit you as an asset. With TikTok's data, they know exactly how to approach you. They know your vulnerabilities. They know your financial situation based on the products you browse. They know if you're dissatisfied with your job based on the videos you watch. They even know who your friends are and whether any of them might be easier to recruit first. This isn't paranoia. This is standard intelligence tradecraft, and TikTok provides all the raw material needed to execute it at scale. The app isn't just collecting data. It's building psychological profiles on hundreds of millions of people, profiles that can be weaponized. And the truly disturbing part, Several U.S. intelligence officials who spoke anonymously to reporters confirmed that Chinese operatives have been using TikTok data for exactly this purpose. They pointed to multiple cases where Chinese intelligence services successfully recruited U.S. military and government personnel, and in many of those cases, TikTok data played a role in identifying targets. But if TikTok is such a national security threat, why hasn't the U.S. government banned it? The answer to that question reveals just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Before you assume banning TikTok would be simple, there's one final piece of evidence that ties the U.S. government, venture capital firms, and ByteDance together in a way that will make you rethink everything. When ByteDance was raising capital to expand internationally, it turned to some of the biggest venture capital firms in the world, and many of them were American. Sequoia Capital, one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious VC firms, invested $180 million in ByteDance in 2018. General Atlantic, another major U.S. firm, invested $150 million. SoftBank, which has deep ties to U.S. tech companies, invested over $1 billion. These firms saw TikTok as a goldmine. ByteDance's valuation skyrocketed to $75 billion to $140 billion, and by 2023 it was valued at over $220 billion, making it one of the most valuable private companies on Earth. And American venture capital firms owned significant stakes. Here's the problem. If the U.S. government bans TikTok, those investments become worthless overnight. Sequoia, General Atlantic, and SoftBank would lose billions. And these firms have enormous influence in Washington. They fund political campaigns. They employ former government officials. They lobby Congress. So when lawmakers started talking about banning TikTok, these firms launched a quiet but aggressive campaign to stop it. They argued a ban would be an overreach, that it would set a dangerous precedent, that it would hurt American investors. Behind closed doors, they pressured lawmakers to find an alternative solution, and that's exactly what happened. Instead of an outright ban, the U.S. government pushed for a forced sale. The idea was that ByteDance would sell TikTok's U.S. operations to an American company, allowing venture capital firms to cash out while removing Chinese control. But ByteDance refused. Zhang Yiming knew that TikTok's value wasn't in its brand or its users, it was in the algorithm. And under Chinese export control laws, ByteDance couldn't sell the algorithm without approval from the Chinese government. Beijing made it clear they would never approve such a sale because the algorithm is considered a strategic national asset. So we're stuck in a stalemate. The U.S. government knows TikTok is a national security threat, but banning it would cost American investors billions and enrage 150 million U.S. users, many of whom are young voters. Forcing a sale won't work because China won't allow it, and allowing TikTok to continue operating means accepting that a Chinese company has unprecedented access to American data. This is the insane truth about TikTok. It's not just an app. It's a $220 billion surveillance operation that has captured an entire generation, backed by American venture capital, protected by Chinese law, and entangled in a geopolitical standoff that no one knows how to resolve. But the story doesn't end there, because TikTok's influence goes far beyond data collection. It's also shaping what millions of people think, believe, and care about. And that influence is being weaponized in ways most users don't realize. In 2022, researchers at Rutgers University conducted a study analyzing TikTok's algorithm compared to other social media platforms. What they found was startling. TikTok's algorithm was far more effective at creating echo chambers than Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Here's why. On Facebook or Twitter, you follow people and pages, which means you have some control over what you see. On YouTube, you subscribe to channels, and the algorithm suggests similar content. But on TikTok, you have no control. The algorithm decides everything, And because it's optimized for engagement, it quickly learns what makes you emotional and shows you more of it. If you watch a video about a political issue and you engage with it, comment, share, or even just watch it twice, the algorithm interprets that as interest and floods your feed with more content on that topic. Within days, your entire feed can become dominated by a single perspective. You're not choosing what you see. The algorithm is choosing for you. This makes TikTok an incredibly powerful tool for shaping public opinion, and there's growing evidence that ByteDance is using it for exactly that purpose. In 2021, leaked documents revealed that ByteDance moderators were instructed to suppress content that was critical of the Chinese government. Videos about the Tiananmen Square massacre, the treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, protests in Hong Kong, and criticism of Xi Jinping were all being quietly removed or shadow banned, meaning they wouldn't appear on users' For You pages. At the same time, content promoting Chinese culture, Chinese tourism, and positive portrayals of China was being algorithmically boosted. TikTok users in the US were seeing more pro-China content than users on other platforms, and most of them had no idea it was being artificially promoted. But the manipulation goes deeper. In 2023, internal ByteDance communications revealed that the company had created thousands of fake accounts to promote specific narratives. These accounts posed as ordinary users, but they were actually operated by ByteDance employees tasked with spreading content that aligned with Chinese government interests. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, fake ByteDance accounts promoted videos downplaying the virus's origins in China while amplifying conspiracy theories about US bioweapons labs. During the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, fake accounts spread pro-Russia and anti-NATO content. And during US election cycles, fake accounts pushed divisive content designed to inflame political tensions. This is information warfare, and it's happening on a platform used by half of all American teenagers. TikTok isn't just collecting data, it's shaping reality for an entire generation. And the scariest part? Most TikTok users have no idea any of this is happening. They think they're just watching funny videos. They don't realize the algorithm is quietly pushing them towards certain viewpoints, suppressing others, and building psychological profiles that can be exploited. So where does this leave us? TikTok is now the most influential media platform for young people in the Western world. It controls what they see, what they think about, and how they perceive reality. And it's controlled by a Chinese company that is legally obligated to cooperate with Chinese intelligence services. The US government knows this. Intelligence agencies have been warning about TikTok for years. In 2020, the Trump administration tried to ban it. In 2023, the Biden administration demanded ByteDance sell it. Multiple countries, including India, have already banned TikTok entirely. The US military forbids service members from having it on government devices, and yet, it's still on your phone. Why? Because TikTok has become too big to fail. It's not just an app, it's a cultural phenomenon. It's where careers are made, it's where trends are born. It's where an entire generation gets its news, its entertainment, its sense of identity. Banning it would be politically catastrophic, and ByteDance knows this. They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying, running PR campaigns, and cultivating relationships with influencers who defend the platform. They've built an army of creators whose livelihoods depend on TikTok, and those creators will fight any attempt to shut it down. Meanwhile, every day, 150 million Americans hand over their data, their attention, and their minds to a company controlled by a foreign government that is actively working against US interests. This is the insane truth about TikTok. It's not a social media app. It's a surveillance tool, a propaganda machine, and a psychological weapon, all wrapped in an addictive algorithm designed to keep you scrolling. And the most disturbing part? It's working exactly as intended. So, what can you do? If you're concerned about privacy, delete the app. If you're concerned about manipulation, understand that everything you see on TikTok is filtered through an algorithm designed to keep you engaged, not to inform you. If you're a parent, think carefully about whether you want your children's data in the hands of a Chinese company. But here's the reality. For most people, TikTok is too addictive to quit. The algorithm is too good, the content is too entertaining, and ByteDance is counting on that. They've built a platform so compelling that even people who understand the risks keep using it. And that's the final insane truth about TikTok. We all know what it is, we all know what it's doing, and we're letting it happen anyway. The story of TikTok is a story about how a company can build a $220 billion empire by exploiting human psychology, regulatory gaps, and geopolitical tensions. It's a story about how data became the most valuable commodity in the world and how foreign governments learned to weaponize it. It's a story about how we willingly traded our privacy, our attention, and our autonomy for 15-second videos of people dancing. ByteDance didn't invent social media. They didn't even invent short-form video. What they invented was the perfect algorithm, one so effective at predicting what you want that you can't look away. And they used that algorithm to build the most powerful surveillance and influence operation in human history. TikTok has fundamentally changed how an entire generation consumes information, forms opinions, and understands the world. And it's controlled by a foreign adversary. That's not hyperbole. That's just the truth. The question isn't whether TikTok is a threat. The question is what we're going to do about it. And right now, the answer appears to be nothing. So here we are. TikTok has over 1 billion monthly active users worldwide. It's the most downloaded app in the world. It's valued at over $220 billion, and every day, millions of people hand over their data, their faces, their voices, their locations, their private thoughts to a company that has repeatedly lied about who has access to it. Zhang Yiming built ByteDance on a simple premise. The algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. And he was right. TikTok's algorithm is so powerful that it can predict what you want to watch before you even realize you want to watch it. It can shape your opinions without you noticing. It can keep you scrolling for hours without you realizing how much time has passed. That algorithm made Zhang Yiming one of the richest people in China, with a personal net worth of over $40 billion. It made ByteDance one of the most valuable companies on Earth. And it made TikTok the defining platform of a generation. But it also made TikTok the most dangerous app ever created. Because when you combine an addictive algorithm with mass data collection, foreign government control, and sophisticated psychological manipulation, you get something unprecedented. You get a weapon disguised as entertainment. And that's the insane truth about TikTok. We're all watching the videos, but someone else is watching us. Watch what happens the next time Congress holds a hearing on TikTok. Count how many lawmakers who received campaign contributions from tech-backed PACs vote against any real action. That vote will tell you everything about whether this changes or whether we've already lost.